as you said, I'm from India, of course. Kind of quite visible from my face where I'm from. Uh, yeah, I've been in Atlanta for last nearly 8 years now, and loving so far. I've had a background in system engineering for 4 years in Infosys. Before this, left there, came here, and been with G&D for last 8 years in Atlanta. I was born and brought up in Bhopal, in a small town called Baragar. Mostly studied there, did my high schooling there, pretty close to my house. And yeah, since then, been moving around from Pune to Mysore, back to Pune, and then finally to United States. So, yes, a little bit of a compromise that you have to do because you don't have your family,
Yeah.
first of all. You don't have the vast group of Indian people moving around, so you can talk to them. And it's not like I said, I barely know my neighbors. In India, that's not the case. So social life comes quite easy within your country. Yeah, life is quite fast in certain ways, so you don't really have time to mingle with a lot of people all the time. It's a balanced equation. I have a decent enough, I would say, a social life with my friends that came from college. I travel to them. Some are in New York, some are in California. One lives here. So keep shuffling around. But social life is not that difficult, and we have communities like proper. Once you buy your house, that's another thing. That's another thing. It brings you more back into the community of American culture.
Right.
American culture is about American dream, buying a house. When you buy a house, people are more invitive of you than you when you're living on a rent. That's one thing I've noticed here. Depends city to city how much you can do. New York, it's very easy to socialize. If you're in New York, you just step out on the road. 5 people will talk to you. It's that easy. In Atlanta, not so much. So you have to have your close friends and then you socialize with other people through events. But yes, very social friendly in that regard. You don't have to worry about that. There are a lot of Indian communities that get together. They celebrate Holi together because Holi is not like a big festival here. Recently, Holi went by. We did that celebration. There is a good place in Atlanta where all the Indians gather. They have music, DJs, and they organize everything. And if you're willing to participate, go for it. Same goes for Diwali. Government sets out a special space. You can do the fireworks. You can celebrate. And so there is a very happening Indian community across US. I like personally knowing about the culture. So yes, I've been to a church, even though I don't believe in God, just to see what they do. I've been to Thanksgiving dinners, few of them actually, with my friends, just to see what they do and how it is, how it works. So it's always good to learn about culture. So I do participate. Do I understand it? Not fully, at least. I don't understand fully my culture, so let alone this culture. So it's a big difference. How they work, how they behave in front of their parents, the culture it is. There are certain restrictions we put on ourselves in India in front of elders. Sometimes some people bow down, touch the feet and all that. Now that thing is non-existent. So you have to manage that cultural kind of a thing where the balance is. But yes, I do participate, and a lot of people others do as well. My friend Utkar, she goes on Korean barbecues and other things with his people, a Korean group he has over here. Then I do Thanksgiving with Alex, my friend, one of my friends from office. So Christmas, you name it. Yeah. Some of the things you don't participate in because there are small festivals like Good Friday, Easter. These are mostly family, kind of a close family kind of a thing going on. But yes, mostly on the bigger festivals, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, I mean, not the Black Friday. Black Friday is all about shopping. But Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, yes, you do mingle with Americans as well. And there are major cultural differences if you live with them, not so much when you celebrate with them. It's incredible how the gun culture is, because every car I see, they have a gun lying in the glove box. And apparently it's all perfectly okay for them, which it's hard to put my mind around it, that you can easily carry guns like these guys do over here. So yeah, definitely that thing sticks out. Like living wise, I haven't lived with many Americans, but and it differs from person to person, of course, but their eating habits, their sleeping habits, and one of the things that caught my eye, and I'm kind of adapted to that now, is the day-to-day routine you have. People here don't start their day at 10. I've seen my parents; they used to show up in office at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. If you show up, you're getting fired probably here. 10 a.m. is too late. 10 a.m. like it's people here consider like the day is gone. Most of the day you've wasted that. So everything starts quite early here. My day today started at 6:30 a.m. So, and that's the habit you get into. And even after reaching office at 6:30 on Wednesdays and Thursdays, there are people already working. So they have been there for early on. The dinner routine, these guys are done with dinner at 6 p.m. Imagine that in India for a second. It's not possible. You don't, not possible. Of course it's possible, but you don't really usually do that because it's a cultural thing. Even my parents today, they eat at 9. They don't eat at 6. 6, it's hard to even comprehend like you're eating at 6. But when your day starts that early, these guys wake up at 4:30 in the 5 in the morning. There's a guy in my office who shows up at 5:30 every single day in the office. And he's perfectly fine doing that. He's happy with that. So that is the biggest difference I saw, the cultural difference in terms of how your day starts and how your day ends. Americans like to utilize the sunlight the most. So the moment sun's up, start your day, sun goes down, you're done with your dinner and nothing after that. So a lot of people here have their dinner while the sun is still out, which I've never thought possible in India because I never did that. Nobody I have seen that did that. But here the cultural differences in that regard, the work culture and the ethics is a quite big. Cultural shift that surprised me the most after coming here was randomly on streets in Atlanta, you walk and people say hi to you. I've never seen that in India. People give you a dirty look in India sometimes while walking on the street, not say hi, with a smile on their face. And you were here, you realize the same thing when you're walking on belt line.
Right.
Randomly people are giving a shout out, saying hi, so they make you feel very welcome. Another thing I would say in the office culture, I mentioned that before as well. Here you have merit culture. You don't have seniority culture. So if you are good at your job, these guys won't hold back and say you did a good job. But if you do a bad job, they won't hold back either in that regard. Like you can see the guy, being very candid, the guy who interviewed me he reports to me now. Tables can turn here, which is not thought possible in India. Seniors like to keep their senior position no matter how dumb they are. Here, it's not the case. Your worth is recognized every step of the way if you do a good job. And that culture is what kind of agrees with me. Because it has to be a merit-based system. It does not have to be an age-based system. There are such subtle differences in lifestyle, in work. But yeah, whatever connects with it. It's a grueling experience for sure. Depending if you're coming in a college, right? If you have a loan over your head, it's always a grueling experience. What I would suggest, and which I was going to expand on later on, don't cheap out on everything. Because there are certain things you can do to make your life a lot more easy. The mattress thing that I mentioned, we went on the $60 mattress and we stayed there 1.5 hours. I ended up with a sciatica pain because of that mattress on my right hip bone. So don't do that. What I realized, I could have bought a $120 mattress and that stayed with me for 18 months. That was a very worthwhile investment I should have done from day one. But because everybody is buying a $60, everybody's trying to save every single dollar they can. You go with the flow and you end up making a mistake. That's one thing. So certain things you should not cheap out on. There are a lot of things you can cheap out on, you can save money on. You can buy a non-caged eggs for $4, or you can buy a caged egg, normal one, from Koger's for $2. Save there. Don't save on certain places where it's going to make your life hell. Because that mattress did it for me. And so certain things you have to calibrate and understand what actually is beneficial for you, what makes you productive, then more than anything else, just purely saving money. Don't skimp out on good things. A little bit of enjoyment is necessary. your basic stuff that you use at your home is absolutely necessary.
Right.
A study table, a proper chair, a good lumbar chair, a good mattress. These things will take you a long way. It seems small, but a lot of people skimp on that and they should not. I've seen right now, my friend is doing a course in the same college, and her classmates are doing the same thing we did back in the day, still buying a cheap mattress and then waking up in the morning all sore, all groggy, no productiveness. So sleep, small things can make you a lot more productive. And I realized it quite late, and I'm trying to tell them the same thing. Don't make those mistakes that we did. You can actually spend a little bit of money. That $40 extra you spend on your mattress can turn out to be a few $1,000 benefits in productivity. Another thing I would say, people save on the flight. Don't be fancy. Don't be fancy in that. There's a lot of money on the table on flights that you can save. Let me give you an example. So Turkish Airlines back in the day, now those prices are gone. You'll never find those prices now. But back in the day, I was able to book a ticket for just $500. Even back then it was 70 rupees for $1, but right now 80. Let's take 80, even today's rate, 40,000 rupees, right? One-way ticket to US done. My friend booked it for 75,000. He wanted to go European-based airlines. Good for you. What that did is 35,000 right off the bat, and just for journey that you're not going to even remember, because all the time on the flight you're stressed thinking about when you're going to land and what you're going to do. So that journey is useless to spend extra money on. That's not going to bring you any benefit. So my advice is make a plan where you want to save the money, because if you think about it, that 35,000 could have bought him an incredibly good mattress and he could have had a good sleep for 18 months. People come here with a tunnel vision. I need to make money, I need to save money, I need to clear my loan. That's it. That's it. They forget everything else. They forget to enjoy a little bit. Right. US is a place where you can do a lot of, you can enjoy a lot. For example, the day I came in, the next day, my friends kidnapped me and took me to Nashville. The New Year party, right? I came in 30th of December. So New Year party, 31st, they kidnapped me. We went to Nashville. Pre-concert. 5 guys in one car, rented a car, went there, lived in a cheap motel. We came back with maybe $150 expenses each person. Less than that, $100 expenses per person. That's something you can afford. You can live a life a little bit every few months. It doesn't have to be a tunnel vision that you're just basically in that zone, nothing else exists, just get a job. You forget you're in a different country, there's a lot to explore, a lot to do, and a lot of people don't do. I came to that conclusion quite late in my college life, and I would recommend for everyone who comes here, live a little bit. Make a plan, stick to it in terms of your financial savings, but don't skimp out on good things. So southern states, depends which state you're in, right? Certain states are basically very welcoming. Most of the US is. There are certain states you just don't want to go because they're not even good colleges, and why do you want to go there? Alabama is one of those states.
Right.
Not a lot of good colleges, very conservative, very orthodox thinking. So depends the person you are, you choose your. But southern states, what I found, especially Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, those states on eastern front are really accommodating, really friendly. Rural part of America, yes, there is still a lot of racism. I'm not going to say there isn't. There is a lot of racism. I've been on the receiving end a couple of times. It depends how much it bothers, right? There's always going to be a factor that an Indian guy comes in, goes into a tech job, takes our job away. Just like we have our immigration problem in India with our neighboring countries, what's going on in West Bengal, Kolkata and everything. Here they have a thought process as well that certain things belong to our own countrymen and not to others. Right. So when you get in, you can expect a little bit of hardship in that regard. But from my experience, I would say 99% of my experience has been positive with you. They're really friendly, really easy to get along with. I get along with these people a lot better than I get along with Indians, which is thing. Bits and pieces I covered. You have to get your finances in straight for your immigration process, first of all, because that's the first thing they will see. When you go for a visa interview, they need to know that you can survive there without a job. Target has always been the same. You have to get a job, but you need to showcase. So be it your parents' money, your own saving, or what have you. You need to get your finance sorted out. First of all, you need to get your health, vaccinations, and everything sorted out. Because in India, even though now the culture has drastically shifted in terms of vaccinations, everybody gets a vaccination schedule and everything. We got a few basic ones. In the US, if you're coming as a migrant, they expect you to have all the vaccinations done, the critical one. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to go into which vaccinations, but your college will give you a sheet whenever you get there. You have to get all of these things and get in here as healthy as possible. Like I said about health insurance, about medical care, do not expect a medical care right away when you get here. You're going to be hamstrung. So if you have any issues, get them sorted in India. You want to get your teeth cleaned, get it done in India. Everything, every small thing that you can think of, that you can prepare before coming here, get it done, because you might not have any time left to invest on your body or on yourself once you get it. It will be, everything will be basically a firefight to get a job, to do the best possible work in the college, to get through every single day. 2017, when I was working in a college and my internship 40 hours, I don't even remember that year. It was so busy because I was working 17 hours a day between my internship, with my college, my homework, just managing, buying groceries. I was occupied 17 hours a day. And when you are that busy with barely any sleep, yeah, there is not a lot you can remember from those days. Like, I know how I got there. I know what I did the process. But once I got there, once the internship started from May to December, it's quite blurry for me in my head, how that period even went. So it gets really exhaustive. Get your things sorted back in India, prepare for the best possible life you can live and a healthy life you can live before coming. Medical things are always one thing that I've seen people skimp on. And if they have to get a care here, it gets really, really expensive. Don't do that. Bring in some supplies, of course. That's true. Not too much that overburdens you when you're bringing supplies from India. Because if you do that, then I still have supplies back from 2017 in my kitchen that I got from it. So be a little bit picky on that. First thing I would say, take your time and do research on where you're going to get the loan from. If you're going to get the loan from India for your education. Because I'm targeting the audience about who came as I did for education purpose. Right. And the biggest hardship I faced before coming here was none other than the loan processing. So do your research on that. And my friend is still struggling who did that this year. So going by that fact, I'm going to say the process in India hasn't really improved that. Because I had the same shitty experience 8 years ago, and she's having that right now, this year in 2024. So of course, something is wrong. So do your research. If you can figure out a loan, even with 1 or 2% extra interest rate, but with no collateral, save that money. What people don't realize, putting a house as a collateral, oh, I'm going to pay it off. Of course, you're going to pay it off. Nobody disbelieves you. No, everybody believes you. You're going to pay this loan off like I did. But putting a collateral starts a very dangerous process with bank, which is the appraisal process. That process alone cost my dad 1 lakh rupees. Now, looking back, my total interest from moment I started taking loan in early 2017, my first tuition, to paying it off in 2019, I think April, I cleared my loan pretty quickly because I got a good job, so I cleared it. But even within that, the total interest I accumulated was 2.5 lakhs. And now going back thinking, I paid 1 lakh for the processing of the loan without even taking even a dime from the bank. That was a lot of money that I could have saved. Now put that 1 lakh into the context of interest. 1 or 2% interest rate would have gotten me from 250,000 rupees to 300,000 rupees. That's not even that, but let's say 300,000 rupees. I paid 1 lakh. I lost 50,000. And on top of that, banks will try to convince you to buy an insurance just in case if you die. That was the selling pitch apparently. If you die while doing a course, there is an insurance that you can buy for 50,000-60,000 rupees, and the insurance will pay off your loan and your parents don't have to take the burden. All sounds good and well, but are you planning to die? I don't think so. That's not what we are doing this. Circumstances change, but there are certain places they will try to gouge you. Don't fall for that. And if you can find a loan without a collateral, absolutely go for it. It's always worth it. The people who did that, I'm kind of jealous of them because they saved quite a lot of money doing that. while they did that. They barely paid a little bit of extra interest, but saved a lot of money in processing and hardship, going through lawyers, appraisal process, multiple visits from the bank officers to appraise your house where it's done and all that. It's a lot of trouble process. Other than money, is just going to be troubling for you. So stay something simple in the loan, because the goal is to get this loan cleared up relatively quickly. Even the guy who made the least amount of money in our batch cleared the loan in 4 years. That amount of money in collateral is just not worth it. So save that. I always tell it to people, don't go for a collateral based loan, because it will just put you more burden over it during the process. Process in itself is very hardship. You are preparing for college, you're trying to find a place to live in, you're managing your finances, and then these bank people add more work over your head to do that. Not just you, your parents as well. So depending on your condition, how fit your parents are, what you want to put them through, just try to skip all of that. It's good for everyone. So that's my biggest advice. The biggest pain point for me was the loan process. If you can simplify that, you start off on the right foot, and don't have to go through that grueling process that I did. That's the thing. I got 9.5 interest rate for putting collateral. Without collateral, it was 11. Going back, I would have chosen that 11 any moment, because the hardship that my father had to go through, the number of signs he had to go through to put his house on the line for my education, it was just plain grueling. He was frustrated throughout the year. And not only that, when the loan was settled back in 2019, the documents for my father's house got back to him end of 2020. That was another 1.5 year wait. So think about, if your parents wants to sell their house and go move somewhere else. They can't even do that, because the documents are still being verified and all that process is still going in the back.
I think that's all we have, and you got us everything that we need to know and what people would need to know before coming over here. So thank you so much for your time. It was lovely talking to you.
Yeah, not a problem. Glad to help. Yeah, absolutely. Likewise.